What's going on, everybody? Toby1 Shinobi here, and today I'm going to show you the exact formula to win games in Chapter 5, Season 2 of Fortnite very consistently. We're going to go over loadouts, weapon attachments, medallions, mid-game objectives, rotations, and end-game strategies. This video should be packed with lots of value and bonus tips and tricks as well. Let's get right into it. Let's start off with loadouts and what I think you should try to carry in your inventory. I'll also try to quickly explain what I think the best weapons are and why. I am recommending two different types of loadouts right now, a 2-gun loadout and a 3-gun loadout. The 3-gun loadout is going to consist of a sniper rifle, a shotgun, either being the Gatekeeper or the Frenzy shotgun, an assault rifle, either being a Nemesis AR or a Warforged AR, and then a mobility item, preferably shockwaves, and then heals as well, preferably chug splashes or big potions. Now, loadout 2 is going to be a 2-gun loadout, which consists of a Huntress DMR, a Nemesis AR, or a Warforged AR, and then a shotgun, either a Frenzy or a Gatekeeper, but the Gatekeeper should have an extended magazine with this loadout. Then you want to carry 2 utility items like shockwaves and Apollo's wings, or shockwaves and Porta bunkers. And then in your final slot you want to carry heals again, preferably splashes or large shield potions. Personally, I am going with the 3-gun loadout right now because I just like having a sniper rifle in my inventory for quick one-shot eliminations. It really can turn a bad fight around. Now, the Huntress DMR is pretty great too, but it struggles at mid-range open field combat because of the low rate of fire and is generally outclassed by a sniper rifle at longer ranges. If snipers weren't in the game, the Huntress DMR would be excellent in a 2-gun loadout where you keep distance until you have an advantage and then push in with mobility. Now, if you're going to use the Huntress, I highly recommend playing very tight to cover whenever you use this DMR so that you can peek out, take a shot, and then get back into cover and then repeat that process. But you don't want to challenge snipers because they can kill you in one shot, and it takes a minimum of 3 shots with a DMR for you to kill them in Zero Build. I recommend using a 1.3 holo scope for the Huntress so your camera has reduced camera shake during fights. In my personal opinion, the best all-around assault rifle right now is the Nemesis AR, which seems to be fairly rare, but when you get a laser on it, it's incredibly good. The benefits of this AR is the rock-solid stability, large magazine, incredible hipfire accuracy, and excellent damage output. The Warforged AR is good too, but it has a good amount of horizontal recoil until it's fully modded, which makes long-range engagements pretty difficult. The Burst SMG with a laser underbarrel is also insanely good as an assault rifle or just a cleanup weapon. Having the flexibility of perfect hipfire accuracy and crazy damage output over range just can't be overlooked. Now, as far as shotguns go, I prefer the Gatekeeper shotgun. It deals solid damage over mid-range and has a fairly fast fire rate. The only problem is the magazine size, so I highly suggest modding it with the extended mag for 5 shots in the magazine instead of 3. I also think that a purple or gold version of the Gatekeeper is better than the Mythic in most cases because of the ability to mod it with that extended mag. There's also currently a glitch with the Gatekeeper shotgun that allows you to shoot from behind walls, which is just crazy broken and definitely needs to be fixed. The Frenzy shotgun is also very good, and it's easier to use because it has so many shots and a much wider reticle. So for most players, the Frenzy shotgun will be more consistent for them. But the Gatekeeper is a better shotgun when used with good peek shots or just using good jukes on your enemy. Check out my shotgun breakdown video for more details on how to use these weapons, and then check out my advanced movement video for tips on how to juke out your opponents. Now, if you're going to run the 2-gun loadout, you probably want to carry double utility items. It's your choice if you want to play aggressive with double mobility using shockwaves and wings, but I have to say, if you're going to use the wings, you want to use them for traversing the map and not during combat. It's extremely easy to shoot people out of flight because the wings themselves have hitboxes that will cause you to take damage if people shoot at you, miss, and hit the wings. So when you're using the wings, you should fly low and spam your dodge and dash buttons frequently to avoid shots. Always try to break line of sight from your enemy by getting behind trees, terrain, or structures. The wings also give you a low gravity effect, so if you combine them with the use of shockwaves and jump pads, you can go insanely far. If you slurp up some Fizzberry before doing either of those things, you will go to outer space and be able to get across the map incredibly fast. Now, if you want to play more balanced with a 2-gun loadout, I highly suggest carrying bunkers at all times. Having bunkers allows you to set up nicely in any zone without relying on good zone pulls or players not having a better position than you. Basically, you can ensure you have good cover no matter where you are. If you choose to use a double mobility loadout, I still suggest dropping your wings with about 15 players left and replacing them with Porta bunkers. The wings are a death sentence in small zones, with the majority of the best players being alive. You usually want to be using shockwaves or medallion movement buffs for these endgames. If you haven't mastered shockwaves, now is the time to do it. You can watch my shockwave mastery video for that. Now, I used to not carry heals in the previous season, but that has changed because of the lack of consistent healing items across the map. Medallions no longer regenerate your shields over time, and coolers with guaranteed heals have been removed from the game. Vending machines are no longer guaranteed to be healing stations either, now that they can be weapon vending machines too. So it's definitely not as easy to bail out of a fight with your mobility and know exactly where to find heals. Therefore, I've been carrying heals in pretty much every scenario unless I know there's health nearby and I'm gonna stay in the area for a while. If you don't want to carry heals, you can stash some somewhere for a little bit and then come back to them if need be. Now, in a perfect world, my ideal loadout is this. Slot 1, a gold sniper with a 5-shot drum magazine, angled foregrip, and your scope of choice. Slot 2, a gold gatekeeper with a 5-shot drum magazine, and no other attachments are necessary. Slot 3, a gold nemesis AR with a 1.3 hollow sight, speed mag, laser underbarrel, and a muzzle brake. Slot 4, 6 shockwaves. Slot 5, 6 chug splashes. And then on top of that, the Cerberus Medallion. I also might swap out the sniper for bunkers in the endgame, depending on the terrain of the final circles. Real quick, if you're enjoying this video, please consider smashing that like button, body slamming the subscribe button, and gently tapping the notification bell to be alerted every time I drop a new video packed full of great information. I promise I won't let you down. Also, please consider using code Toby1Shinobi in your Fortnite item shop. It helps me and my family a ton. Thank you so much. Now let's talk about what objectives you should go for during the game. Personally, I am always going for Medallion because some of them give you such powerful abilities that they just can't be overlooked. Yes, your general location is shown on the map to everybody, but if you enjoy taking fights, that is a good thing. My favorite medallion right now is the Cerberus Medallion, which grants you 3 Cerberus dashes that regenerate over time. Your amount of dashes are signified by the green skulls hovering around your body. You can also get these 3 dashes anytime you touch the green water, but they will not regenerate like they will with the Cerberus Medallion. These dashes are extremely useful to avoid enemy damage and reposition in combat, as well as juking your enemies. You can also gain 3 dashes from your Cerberus Medallion, then drop it for a teammate to let them get their 3 dashes and then have them give it back to you. The Mythic Gatekeeper shotgun from this boss is also very deadly, but it only has 3 shots in the magazine. It can easily 3-tap to eliminate someone within 10 meters, but if you miss a shot, you'll be stuck on a reload. That is why I prefer a purple or gold version with a drum magazine on it. But if you play cover well or you use your dashes effectively, you can definitely make the Mythic Gatekeeper work. You can also 2-tap someone with a double headshot from this weapon at close range pretty easily. Watch my shotgun breakdown if you want more tips on how to use this weapon. Now, if you aren't carrying the Cerberus Medallion, I still encourage you to touch the green water whenever you can and save your dashes for as long as you can until you absolutely need them. These dashes can really change the outcome of a fight, whether that's escaping gunfire or quickly repositioning or juking an opponent. If you have a Cerberus dash in a fight and your opponent doesn't, it's a huge advantage. So save them until you really need them. The Zeus Medallion is also very powerful because of the crazy sprint speed and the jump height that it grants you. It's great for repositioning during fights and just being hard to hit. It's also insane with slap barrels for infinite sprint. The biggest downside of the Zeus Medallion is that it's very hard to use shockwaves with it because your jump height will take you over the shockwave blast. So either you need to be very cognizant of your shockwave jumps and wait until the very last moment to jump, or you should just avoid picking this medallion up because it can definitely get you killed in the heat of the moment. Same goes for Cerberus dashes and shockwaves. You need to make sure you aren't spamming jump when shockwaving. Trust me, I have been there and it is super frustrating. The Mythic Huntress DMR from Zeus is also very good, but it has a 4x scope, which is a pretty big turnoff for some because it's not very effective at close range, and it's kind of hard to use when being shot by an opponent due to the massive scope shake. The Hades Medallion gives you 50 health upon elimination, but I don't find the Siphon ability to be all that great unless you're playing solos. That's because you actually have to thirst a knocked opponent to get the 50 HP, and even then it's only 50 health. But in solos, you get that 50 HP instantly. You can also eliminate wildlife to get the Siphon ability as well, which can be really useful. The Hades boss also drops a Mythic Harbinger SMG, which is solid, but only within close range. I prefer the flexibility of an assault rifle or the deadly hipfire accuracy of a burst SMG with a laser on it. My least favorite medallion is the Ares Medallion, which only adds a couple of damage points per shot for long-range weapons. It does have the effect of turning your weapon muzzle flashes red, which can be distracting to your enemies, but I find it pretty underwhelming and not really a difference maker in fights. But the Mythic Warforged rifle from the Ares boss is extremely good for mid-range and close-range combat. If you take the Ares Medallion, you might consider using it as a bait to drop out in the open and bait enemies to it for easy eliminations, because if they run away with it, it's really not the end of the world. Now, my suggestion for getting these medallions is that you don't land directly inside the medallion POI. These locations can be pretty crazy and there are players hiding everywhere. If you land at these POIs, you are definitely lowering your odds of winning the game because of how chaotic they can be and the high chance of death on your drop. That is why I highly suggest landing at a location slightly outside of Medallion POI and looting up while the other players eliminate each other inside the POI. And then you can just third party the last player remaining in the POI or eliminate them while they're fighting the boss. Honestly, it works great to just keep an eye on the map and look for the boss icon to see if they are still alive. The boss icon looks like a Greek pedestal or a column. If the boss is dead, you can track the medallion player who killed the boss by looking for the center of their medallion circle on the map. Now, you can skip the whole medallion step if you don't care about them, but I personally think that some of them give you a much better chance of survival in future fights. The next objective to go for is a forecast tower. These towers are extremely helpful for winning end games because they show you the future zone before anyone else can see it, allowing you to know how to navigate end game zones and pick the best positions before anyone else can get to them. If you have forecast and porta bunkers in the end game, your chances of winning the game significantly increases. Forecast towers activate with 1 minute remaining in Storm Circle 2 of 12 and spawn in random set locations. Once they activate, they are shown on your map. You can see their physical location before they activate as you drop off the bus or just by looking into the distance from a high point. So always keep an eye out for the closest one to your drop point. They are definitely game changers and they're often undervalued. At the forecast tower, eliminate the 3 guards quickly and take the key card, but never drop your mobility, assault rifle, or shotgun, as you might run into trouble on your way back to the forecast computer. I usually keep my shockwaves out on the way back to the computer in case I run into trouble. After you've got the forecast tower, your next objective is the underground bunkers. These bunkers are super valuable because they have 3 rare chests, a mod bench, and a lot of gold in them. The only other place that you can mod a weapon is on the floating island at the middle of the game. There are 9 bunker locations on the map, but only 6 bunkers are opened per game. Bunkers are activated and begin opening right as Storm Circle 3 of 12 arrives. If you find a bunker that has chains on it, that means this bunker will not activate and will not open during the game. Here is an image of the bunker spawns on the map. As you can see, they are evenly spaced out as a circle around the middle of the map. Oftentimes, a lot of the bunkers will end up in the storm, but it's only a 1 tick of damage when they first spawn, so it might be worth going for them. And that's because these bunkers are usually heavily contested if they aren't in the storm. So if you want a safer option, maybe go for the ones in the storm. They usually have health packs inside. Once you're in a bunker, I highly suggest looting as quickly as you can to avoid an awkward stalemate of who is going to exit the bunker or who is going to enter the bunker first. Porta bunkers and shockwaves can help you with these awkward stalemates if you use them creatively. And if you want to loot everything as quickly as possible in these bunkers, use Zeus lightning bolts, porta bunkers, explosives, or shockwaves to break open all the loot and the gold bars, then quickly mod your weapon and get out. Once you've got your medallion, your ideal weapons modded, and a good load, loadout, you are now free to roam about the map and play as you wish. I personally like to hunt down as many Medallion players as possible because they're always visible on the map, and these are generally the more sweaty players that you want out of the game early. Or I just run around and look for fights. As I've stated in my previous video about why 74% of players are not improving in Fortnite, getting into more fights will increase your skill and keep you warm during the game. But I have to say, with each fight also brings an increased chance of dying and not winning the game, so it's kind of up to you. Since this video is about winning, I'd say choose your fights very wisely when there are less than 30 players remaining, and play for zone and positioning first. Use vehicles to traverse across the map, and if they get blown up, use your shockwaves or your Medallion abilities to get out and set up with bunkers. If you want to increase the odds of winning, always try to rotate to the dead side of zone or the area closest to the next forecasted zone so it makes your rotations easier. And when I say dead side, I mean the area that probably has the least amount of players in it, usually near the coast or a less populated part of the map. If you have forecast, go for the area closest to the next zone and look for a good safe spot to set up. Sometimes picking the high ground is not the move though, because everyone will want that position and you'll be their main target. But if you're okay with taking some fights, high ground is great. You'll just have to be ready to defend your position by safely putting pressure on anyone who considers pushing. So make sure you clear out the tree line and you have good line of sight on those people that might push you. And if you want to be passive, look for a safer spot that people won't consider running to, such as the top of a tree, the outskirts of zone behind a small piece of cover, etc. And then really keep an eye on how many players are remaining and how you are going to move to the next zone safely. Dropping medallions in the end game is also a strategy to consider to bait out your opponents and to hide your position. Now, once you see that there are only 3 remaining teams, you need to get ready to third party the final fight. And don't let yourself get into the second to last fight unless you know that the last remaining team is too far away to quickly get on you, or you can eliminate that player really quick without taking any damage. Instead, you should try to make the other 2 remaining teams fight. So if you are being targeted, try to drive or shockwave toward the other team or get them involved in some way and then exit that fight immediately. That is more effective than you think. Make them think that they are going to third party the last fight and then turn the tables on them by completely exiting that fight and then third party their fight instead. Just be smart about your next moves and have an exit strategy that keeps you from taking too much damage when you do this. Alright, if you follow all of that advice and watch my other videos from my must-watch playlist on my YouTube channel, you should be winning a lot more games and be far more effective in combat. Now, if you found this video helpful, please consider smashing that like button and using code TobyWanShinobi in your Fortnite item shop. It helps me and my family more than you will ever know. And if you want to take your skills to the next level, consider joining as a Shinobi Clan member for access to the private Discord full of awesome resources and great people. If you join at the master level, you'll get access to training 3 days a week with myself and other master level members. You might also consider booking a one-on-one coaching session with myself at TobyWanShinobi.com. Thank you so much for watching this video. Have yourself a great day. Shinobi out.